pictures are everywhere and we take them all the time with cameras. But did you know cameras wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for our Muslim hero, Hassan ibn al-Haytham? Check out our Muslim Heroes and Inventors channel to find out more. Enjoy!
The last prophet in the world, last prophet in the world, last prophet in the world to show how to be closer to Allah. He is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
After winning the Battle of Khaybar, the Muslims became very happy and safe from their enemies. But secretly, some of the Jews afterwards were planning to destroy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the Jewish lady roasted a goat for the Prophet as a gift for him. But she had an evil plan for him and decided to add poison in the meat. As the Prophet was chewing the meat when eating, as a miracle, the bone told him that the meat was poisoned. The Prophet immediately spit out the meat and was lucky because he did not swallow the meat. But unfortunately, during the meantime, one of the Sahaba already ate some portion of that meat and died. During the Battle of Khaybar, the Prophet sent Mahisa bin Masud to another Jewish town called Fadak. It was in the region of Hale, 2 days' journey from Khaybar. At first, they were waiting to see who won in the Battle of Khaybar. But when they heard the Muslims' victory in Khaybar, the people of Fadak accepted the Muslims as their rulers and agreed to the terms as the people of Khaybar. After the Muslims controlled the other 2 Jewish towns, Wadi al-Qura and Taima, the Muslims then returned to Medina during the end of Safar during the 7th Hijri. As you saw previously, the Muslims had 3 strong enemy groups: the Quraysh, the Jewish groups, and the Bedouin groups. After the Hudaybiyah peace agreement and the Battle of Khaybar, the Muslims were able to control 2 of the most important groups, the Quraysh and the Jewish groups. Now, the Muslims needed a way to control the bad Bedouin groups who were the highway robbers at that time, meaning that they would try to steal or rob anyone who crossed their path. They did not have a fixed place to live, so it was very hard to control them. After the Battle of Khaybar, the Muslims got news that the Banu Ghaftan group united together trying to attack the Muslims. So immediately the Prophet took 700 soldiers to scare them. After 2 days' journey to the west, they reached Nakhla to face the Banu Ghaftan group. Both of the groups tried to scare off each other. But at one point, they became very scared and escaped. That battle was called the Battle of Dhat al-Rika. The Muslims won the battle without doing any physical fighting. On the way back to Medina, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam lay down to rest under a tree, and his sword was hanging from a branch. The rest of the Muslim soldiers fell asleep under the trees. Suddenly, one bad guy came and grabbed the Prophet's sword. He asked the Prophet, "Do you fear me?" The Prophet replied, "Not at all." The bad guy asked, "Who will save the Prophet?" The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would save him. Seeing how the Prophet wasn't scared even a little bit, the guy suddenly became afraid and dropped the sword. The Prophet got his sword and asked the guy who would save him now. The man requested the Prophet to let him go. He also promised that he will not fight against the Muslims anymore. Later, that man went back to his people and told them that he had met the best man in the world. The Hudaybiyah peace agreement was during the end of the 6th Hijri, during the month of Dhul Qa'dah. A year had gone very successfully. To follow the Hudaybiyah peace agreement, during the next Dhul Qa'dah month of the 7th Hijri, the Prophet took 2,000 Muslims with him to go to Mecca for Umrah. Most of them on the journey were the same Muslims who could not do Umrah last year. The Prophet also took 60 camels for sacrifice. Just in case the Quraysh broke the peace agreement, for battle preparation, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also ordered to take the battle weapons and 100 horses. But before entering Mecca, at the place of Yajaj, all the battle weapons were put in one place, and to guard those weapons, 200 Muslims stayed back in that place. With the rest of the Muslims, the Prophet entered Mecca with a loud sound of labbaik. The Muslims also moved toward the Kaaba with the loud sound of labbaik as well. The Prophet was still on his camel and started to circle around the Kaaba. He touched the holy black stone with his stick. Most of the non-Muslims went to the north side of the mountain to see the Muslims' activities. Some of them were very impressed to see the brave Muslims. After completing 7 rounds of the Kaaba, the Muslims went to Marwa to sacrifice their animals, and all the men shaved their heads. After that, the Prophet sent a group of Muslims to Yajaj to take charge of the battle weapons so that those who were guarding the weapons could perform their Umrah as well. As the Hudaybiyah peace agreement, the Prophet stayed in Mecca for 3 days. During that time, he married Maymuna radhiyallahu anha. During the morning of the 4th day, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ began his journey back to Medina.
The Prophet Stories.
We provide everything we create for free and are committed to keeping it that way for millions of Muslims and non-Muslims all over the world. 100% of our operations are crowdfunded from our generous audience. We want to continue our dawah mission, and we can do so with your help. All donations are tax deductible and sadaqah zariyah, which continues to benefit you when you pass away from this world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your generosity, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the highest reward to you and your family in this world and the hereafter.